All right, hello. This is week 2 of the 13-week fiscal program for American Prisoners of War. You have myself, Chief Biko. Today we have Chief Blackcoat, as well as Chief Akibalan. And as always here, more so we focus on the first letter in the acronym APOW, which is American. I will start off today with the 12 steps for American Prisoners of War. Go ahead and share my screen. Yeah. All right. Can you all see it?
Yeah, sir.
Okay, perfect. All right, step 1, learn about the estate or estates your family originated from. Step 2, who established that estate. Step 3, what tribe and confederacy had jurisdiction over that area prior to the European. Step 4, ask all nonprofit organizations you attend what's your position on reparations. Step 5, they either support it or they do not. No support, no money. However, if they support it, then children and adults need weekly classes free of charge about steps 1, 2, and 3. In addition, field trips to APOW landmarks in that city, county, and state are needed. Step 6, don't support European holidays for the remainder of the 13-week time frame. Step 7, avoid spending money with any small business that does not hire your people, gas stations, nail salons, subways, corner stores, etc. Step 8, all businesses need operating cash. Spend money with American businesses. Step 9, all other groups rely on our energy and operating cash to survive. Set the trends of making other groups follow our lead and support our clubs, services, products, and entertainment. Step 10, the US government is bankrupt. The Federal Reserve prints money, i.e. quantitative easing. It also burns money, i.e. quantitative tightening. The US dollar hasn't been backed by gold since Richard Nixon in 1971, the Gold Standard Act. The government operates off the full faith of its citizens to pay debt and taxes. American prisoners of war no longer have faith in the US government. This is why financial support will be altered, stopped, and redirected. Step 11, teach your children 1 hour a day about their history on this land. A, have them learn about an American inventor. B, have them know about our heroes. C, they should know the European that conquered the estate you live in. And subsection D, they should know the nation of people prior to the European invasion militarily and culturally. Step 12, practicing these steps will educate us on the land we are claiming America and attaches us to the history and laws of the US government. Every state American prisoners of war live in should have steps 1, 2, and 3 advertised via social media, radio, and newspaper. In this week, in 13 weeks, 1 fiscal quarter will bring us together for our common cause. And something I like that we were doing kind of recently, just picking out one of the 12 steps that kind of stick out to you. I'll go ahead and let you pop it off there, Chief Akibalan, in regards to like which steps stood out to you this week.
Number 10, because it just shows you that the government is bankrupt and they're just operating on literal faith and just on emotion. Everything is based on emotions with the money, and you can tell by the quantitative easing and quantitative tightening on how they control the supply. It's like controlling someone's water supply if they do something good or bad. So that's what I feel is the most important this week. Especially when we're given millions and billions and we're so-called in debt and bankrupt, but we still give millions and billions, which doesn't make sense. It doesn't even logically make sense that you can give billions if you're bankrupt, trillions of dollars in debt.
It makes no sense, right?
Correct. And like you said, being able to just print this money with no repercussions yet, that is never the thought when it comes to our people in regards to reparations. Since again, like we know it's not backed by anything. So it's not like you have to have a finite amount of money within the system. So that just shows the benign and neglect that they're giving towards us in regards to even issuing out this fiat that we know isn't backed by anything. I'll let you go ahead, Chief Blackcoat. Like you're a little busy there. Mine that kind of stood out as well was number 10. I actually finally just got my hands at the age of 28 on some real money, some money that is actually constitutional money, so gold and silver myself. So being able to finally touch that and finally, able to have like tangible money in regards to money that is, classified as currency around the world was really eye-opening to me, man. I'm actually make sure I always mark that date for myself. Believe it's April 7th that I actually, was able to hold real money. Like the shit feel different, dog. Like the shit heavier, shit look different. Like when you look on the sides, it ain't no bronze in that mofo. That shit
Yeah.
straight silver. So I'm like,
You can
dog,
feel
this shit hard. And it make you, like, for me, it made me like realize, like, I see why motherfuckers kill and go crazy for something like this. Like
Yeah.
that natural resource that what is it?
It's-
Actual metal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Right,
it's
precious
tangible
metals.
for real.
Tangible metal. Yeah.
Mhm.
Correct. So that's definitely what stood out to me this week, and just wanted to share that with y'all because, like I said last week or week before then, I'd never been paid in money and I never actually felt it. Different foreign currencies, but I'm not sure if that's all silver or gold. I'm pretty sure it's not. So that was just definitely eye-opening to me this week. What kind of stands out for you in regards to the 12 steps, Chief Blackcoat?
Honestly, you're just looking over them right now. 11 right now, just for me personally, teach your kids 1 hour a day. I'm seeing, the youth get older and we're tapping into a whole new game right now. Like we weren't having these conversations 10 years ago. So now that I'm seeing everybody kind of grasping everything and the children kind of learning this information too, as being who's American. Yeah, it's going to be important going forward, and just learning this information and knowing who we are as a group. The debates can stop once we understand we are the Americans, and reparations and all that kind of falls in line after you get the actual fact that you're from here. This is your birthright land. So just teaching your kids 1 hour a day about the history on those land is pretty important to me right now.
I definitely feel that. And that's something that we're doing each and every week, just by providing this information in these videos. So we definitely are in alignment in regards to this 12 steps, and that speaks greatly in regards to just our group. Next, we will have Chief Akibalan with the Inventor for this week.
Oh, she didn't write his name. Give me a second, because I'm doing it for quiet water. So, well, to start it off, we don't know his name just yet. We will though. But it's patent number 390284 and patent number 194082. The patent date was October 2nd, 1888 for patent number 390284, and for patent number 194082, the patent date was February 7th, 1893. What he created was the draft regulator. It's used to regulate the draft on oil-fired furnaces, boilers, and water heaters. And it's used in stoves and furnaces to control the way that heat is distributed in these components. And then it was improved in 1893. So I think that his second patent was him just improving his already invented draft regulator. Possibly
Wow.
what that improvement was.
Okay. And as far as like any,
But it's something like that.
Go ahead.
My bad. What were you saying?
And I was gonna say, as far as any percentage of income that we receive off of that industry, I can tell by that look, zero, right?
The same as every other one. We don't get it, and the reason we don't is because we don't know this stuff. We don't know that we made this stuff in public. We don't want to do this class.
Facts. What's your thoughts on that, Chief Blackcoat?
No, it just goes back to that conversation we had about Atlanta. It was a beautiful episode, but
I was about to say,
episode 3 of Atlanta, like she just harassing that man about what she's owed. Like, this is my house. And it was crazy the words he was using, like, this is my house. It is kind of ours by birthright. Like, but Atlanta was a good episode this past week. And yeah, it kind of alludes to what Chief Akibalan was saying.
For sure. If you all haven't seen that episode, I highly recommend that you do. Definitely, if you've been tapped into our channel, that should just
Or just tap
further,
into it.
yeah, or just tapping in period. That should just further, cement what we've been saying. This is ours, people. This is ours. We list an inventor every week. Been doing it for, what now? We started in July, so almost a year now. Basically about 9 months on YouTube. Facts on YouTube. So again, just something to think about, people. Just something to think about. Next, we'll have Chief Blackcoat with the quote for this week.
Sick.
About to say, did you need me to pull up anything?
Let me see if I can get to it real quick. No, I had it already up.
Okay.
I just got so many browsers. Or not. Oh, never mind. All right. So I'm going to go with quote 12 today. The Negro in his present plight, however, does not see possibilities until it's too late. He exercises much hindsight, and for that reason, he loses ground in the hotly contested battles of life. The Negro, as a rule, waits until a thing happens before he tries to avert it. And I chose that one just because it's a lot of things going on today as far as, thinking as a group and not letting the TV or anything else around you kind of influence you, but to kind of be at the, ahead of the curve. So doing the homework before certain things happen, and then kind of knowing how to discriminate or to see between the lines of what's really going on just because you're ahead of that curve. And I feel like our group we wait till we actually get there, and then we try to hurry up and rush to figure out what's going on, and by that time it's too late. As a group, we got to kind of start being ahead of that curve of what's to come, and because what we live in today is kind of always a kind of a loop of the same type of events every time. We got to kind of catch on to that and start being first as the group, not letting the TV promote first this, but our group being first just within ourselves. So that's why I went that quote today.
No, I definitely like that.
Just add something to that. I feel like that's like, just to give like an analogy to that, that's like playing chess against somebody who always got the same opening move, where when you're in a certain position, they always gonna do a certain thing. I feel like that once you're playing with some people that always have the same opening move, where they always do the same thing, you just have to know how to prepare yourself for what's to come when it's your turn and when it's time to make your move, to be in defense. Because how we always talk about benign and neglect, we know that's gonna happen. So it's about like how we're gonna defend against this opening move that they always do.
Right. Correct. Now, just to piggyback off of both of y'all, if we're gonna play this race, then why not, win it? Why not be first in it? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, y'all want to play these games. We understand it. We understand it. What we finna win at it as well. So just kind of alluding to what both of you all said. Okay, we know they're opening moves. So come on, let's go ahead and counter and then push forward from there. So definitely agree with that. I'll go ahead and read the legal definitions and maroon historical points for this week. Where did I put it at? All right, legal definitions. Number 1, American, indigenous to America. 2, descendants, one who follows in the bloodline of an ancestor, either lineally or collaterally. Number 3, slavery, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. Number 4, prisoner of war, person, usually a soldier who is captured by or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. Number 5, school, any institution at which instruction is given in a particular discipline. And number 6, education, an enlightening experience. 5 historical maroon points. 1 was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom, or breaking the law. Number 2, providing unity and a strong defense came first. Number 3, maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. Number 4, Maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks in thick grass. And number 5, Maroons knew their European enemies' language, defenses, and plans. And of course, before we jump into the readings for this week, I always like to share some stuff in the Constitution. And it kind of just goes back to what we all pretty much was talking about in regards to the money and just actually learning about this American history as well as this government's history. So as we see here, Section 10, Article 1, Section 10. Let me actually make this a little bit bigger. Okay. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender and payment of debts. So as we kind of spoke on earlier, gold and silver are the only thing that will be considered tender and payment of debts. So right off the bat, as we alluded to, or as we read in the 12 steps, number 10, this government is no longer backed by gold and silver. So it's relying on the strictly faith of its US citizens. So obviously that means that this government is bankrupt. This government has no money. They again are just printing money, i.e. quantitative easing, and just as Chief Keebalan alluded to, just giving it to everybody except for the American. We, in regards to reparations, understanding our history, we don't want their fiat because again, stated here in this funny Section 10, just kind of corresponds with number 10 on our list that the money is no longer backed by gold and silver. So why would we want something fiat that is actually not tangibly backed by anything? Basically backed off the faith of its citizens, basically something like along the lines of a tangible form of cryptocurrency. What is it actually backed by? So when we say reparations, we need actual resources, tangible resources, which would be gold and silver coin. And that's just one part of it. As Chief Blackcoat alluded to, we create these inventions. The land, we create these inventions. 2 weeks ago, John, I forget the brother's name, but John Deere has stolen or has utilized a lot of our ancestors' patents in regards to making this huge industrial complex or industrialized manufacturers in regards to, you know, commercial vehicles just to continue the production of farming and things of that nature. So we need all of that back plus interest added on that. So just something to think about in regards to that. We'll jump down to Article 6. And here is where we see that the treaty is the supreme law of the land. So Article 6, this Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything in the Constitution.
I think you might have broken up, bro.
Yeah, your phone. I'll pick up where you are. Move the mouse wherever you are.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Hear me now? Okay, my bad. Where did I kind of drop off at? Just
right
the treaties.
And any judge in every state shall be bound thereby.
Got you. And any state shall be bound thereby, not contrary or anything in Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary, notwithstanding. So again, just basically showing that this treaty is the supreme law of the land, and that this is the U.S. Constitution, which is this government's backbone. And if they're saying that the treaty is the supreme law of the land, then how come they haven't abided by said treaties that they've themselves written up? So again, just kind of contradicting themselves, not only when it comes to their form of currency, but also when it comes to their form of law in regards to these treaties with different nations, especially nations on this land. And lastly, want to always jump into the militia and who has power over said militia. That should be section or Article 2, Section 2. Okay, here we go. All right, Article 2, Section 2, the president shall be the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of several states. So again, we've kind of harped on this a lot, especially in regards to the first fiscal quarter. If it isn't realized by now, people, we are prisoners of war on our own land, and I'm not sure what else we need to provide for you all. It's clearly showed, well, we clearly showed that Georgia itself is set up in militia districts. So they have the
And it
commerce side.
specifically distinguishes the Army and Navy of the United States.
Correct.
And then it says, and of the
Militia.
It's two different things.
Correct, correct.
If it wasn't, they wouldn't have even said anything about a militia. They would have just kept it in Army.
Correct. Great point, Chief Keeperline. And like you stated, it's distinguishedly, recognizing the militia as a separate entity or a separate branch of this whole military force. So again, the militia, and it's not just like the militia of Georgia, it's the militia of, again, several states. So they're all sleeper cells all across this landmass. Some people would claim, or these territories or areas, as the United States. So again, correct, just the forts.
Military forts. Those are their bunkers, or they're bunkered down. So when things do happen, you have a fort in every state on this landmass. So
correct.
And then you guys talk about the militia, and ahead of the militia will be the police officers, but right behind them is the militia, and then of course your Army, Navy, Marine, and Air Force. But
you see how deep it goes. You see how deep and how layered it goes, and kind of like you just stated, though, Chief Blackcoat, they're forts, they're bunkers. What we just read about, gold and silver being, the only thing payment of debts. You got Fort Knox right up the street, or right up the road in Tennessee area. So it's like the writing is on the wall. They're not hiding anything. It's just that we have to open up our eyes and realize what we're looking at in regards to this stuff. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing there. We'll jump into the readings. Look at what we got on time. Okay. All right. Let me exit that out. Okay. So last week we left off on Article 6, kind of briefly explaining exactly what happened, just to summarize it a bit. They were pretty much just trying to, again, distinguish who the Choctaw Chickasaw was, who the African descent slaves were, who the freedmen were, in regards to this, which would be those refugees from the Civil Rebellion, and also just carving out certain areas that will be allotted to each specific group. I think the last thing we read was about 6 miles on each side of these tracks that these companies had, or that this U.S. government-backed company had to pretty much go from the eastern coast to the western coast. They were allotted 6 miles on each side. So basically able to set up their homes or their businesses right next to this track, which of course we know would just be easier as far as commerce and trade going across country. So that's kind of where we left off in regards to that. Let me make this a little bigger. All right. And should I zoom in, or are you all able to see it? I'm trying to see.
I can zoom in on my phone.
Okay.
I want to zoom in just a little bit more, just a little bit.
Gotcha. Try to see where I can see. Oh, it ain't letting me
If not, it's fine.
do it that way.
That's good.
I should be able to. View, zoom in. All right. How'd that look? It's pretty straight.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
I'll switch sides.
Who wants to pop us off this weekend?
I'll go ahead.
I'll start.
Okay.
You want to go, Chief Keeperline? You sure?
Oh, I'll go.
Go ahead.
I wasn't here last week, so I'm gonna start this week. All right, we start on Article 7, right?
Yep.
The Choctaws and Chickasaws agreed to such legislation as Congress and the President of the United States may deem necessary for the better administration of justice and the protection of the rights of person and property within Indian territory. Keep going. Provided, however, such legislation shall not in any wise interfere with or annul their present tribal organization or their respective legislators or judiciary or the rights, laws, privileges, or customs of the Choctaw and Chickasaw nations, respectively.
Okay.
So it seems like they're basically saying that you guys can take our government as the United States, but you can keep everything that you can do, which don't make sense to me because it's literally just a contradiction.
Correct. That's exactly what I got too. I was basically saying, yeah, you have to do business as if you are basically a state under the United States. But, you know, if anything that, you know, we have within our legislation contradicts with you all's, then we won't interfere in that procedure or that in any way in regards to your government structure that you have set. So it's kind of like they aren't a separate nation because they're still underneath their umbrella in regards to certain aspects, you know. So that's definitely again just a contradiction in itself in regards
They do
to
a lot
that
of doubles.
And that's what kind of Chief Alligator alluded to last week when we think about that serpent, that split tongue. They're saying one thing, but they mean another thing on the other side. So again, having to use that left and right side of your brain when reading these documents, because again, like you stated, they like to get slick with the pen. But I think that's exactly what they probably what they intended to actually say in regards to that article. So we got Article 8. Did you want to continue or did you want to jump on there, Chief Black Coat, and we're gonna definitely break this down?
I'll let Black Coat go ahead.
All right.
All right, so the Choctaws and Chickasaws also agree that a council consisting of delegates elected by a nation or tribe lawfully resident within the Indian Territory may be annually convened in said territory to be organized as follows. So right now it sounds like the Choctaw and Chickasaw agree to pretty much create their own council within this government. Agree that a council consisting of delegates elected by the nation or tribe lawfully resident within the Indian Territory may be annually convened in said territory to be organized as follows. So let me just go ahead and keep going. All right, so after the ratification of this treaty, and as soon as may be deemed practicable by the Secretary of the Interior and prior to the first session of said assembly, a census of each tribe lawfully resident in said territory shall be taken under the direction of the Superintendent of Indian Affairs by competent persons to be appointed by him, whose compensation shall be fixed by the Secretary of the Interior and paid by the United States. What I got from there is pretty much, so someone's going to be appointed to be a part of this secretary. Census will happen by the tribe and a competent person who can pretty much speak for the tribe or speak for the group to the United States and for the group to the United States. Is going, I think they're breaking down on how the secretary, how the staff is going to be built. That's what I got from that.
So when they say lawfully resident, to me that sounds like they're saying anyone who's a resident, even if they're resident by law. And when I thought of that, that just made me think of what's stopping like one of the people that deal with Indian affairs from getting on their council and making decisions that aren't based for the Indian or the native goods, like for their well-being. It's just based on like what the United States government wants at the time. That's just what I thought when I heard lawful residents, the council.
No, I definitely agree with what you're saying in there, and that definitely stood out to me in regards to that census. So they definitely want to start accounting for each member within these different tribes. And like you say, that lawfully resident, I believe in Article 6, we had read that those freemen will be considered lawful residents within that territory, even though they are part of the US government as US citizens, but they are lawfully authorized to live within that territory. So you can already kind of see the, I guess, the amalgamation of these different groups and how they would potentially be able to write them out of history by the pen in regards to the census. Like, how would they identify themselves if you were a Choctaw member or Chickasaw member? Like, what would you write on that census? Would you write, we know they aren't going to write American, so how would they actually distinguish themselves from one another? Also in regards to the freedmen and any other groups of people within that territory. So it kind of seems like they already are trying to muddy the waters, but they also want to account for who's identifying as who. That way we can know later down the years who we need to kind of wipe out to remove them from these lands or something like that. So that's just kind of how I'm thinking in regards to this first subsection underneath this article.
It's like they staged a whole coup, like when they take things over from the inside, and it seems like they did it strategically, but very slowly over time.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure, for sure. We're just looking at the foundation, I guess you could say, of how they did it. Let me see here. I'll go ahead and start on number 2. The council shall consist of one member from each tribe or nation whose population shall exceed 500, and an additional member for each 1,000 Indians, native or adopted, or each fraction of 1,000 greater than 500 being members of any tribe lawfully resident in said territory. So again, kind of just alluding to what I was saying earlier, they're not only just accounting for the tribes members, the real tribes members who actually have bloodline traced to them, but also those who have been brought into the tribe, whether it be i.e. freedmen or any slave of African descent. They're also showing that they are going to be accounted for. And it looks like basically, what is that thing called in regards to I guess when people vote, when you have an X amount of numbers in a state, they're giving them like members for each basically 500. So in this one, from the straight up from right off here, one member for each 500 tribesmen to one nation. And then any additional for each 1,000, I guess they get an additional member who I guess would be considered like their Senate or Congress, something like that. That's how that's what I'm reading or getting thus far here. Any thoughts?
No, I think you pretty much said it. It kind of went straight. It was straightforward as far as what's going on here. The council should consist of one member each tribe. The nation population shall exceed 500. So it has to be more than 500 to be considered a tribe. And then, like you said, an additional member for each 1,000 Indians. So now one Indian over, I'm guessing they're getting, 1,000 Indians for each 1,000 Indians. So for each 1,000 Indians, there's one member.
One member.
Right.
To that seat or something. Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So past 500 and then per 1,000 Indians.
Makes sense. And shall be selected by the tribes or natives, respectively, who may assent to the establishment of said General Assembly. And if none should be thus formally selected by any nation or tribe, it shall be represented in said General Assembly by the chief or chiefs and head men of said tribes. So if no member is selected, then each nation's or tribe's chief will be the one to appoint that person as that member for X amount of nations, X amount of Indians or people within that nation per 1,000 or per 500, as is stated above in the earlier parts of this section. To be taken in order of their rank as recognized in tribal usage in the number and proportions above indicated. Okay. So basically just trying to break down of how their government structure will be handled, how they will account for each member. Again, like you stated, Chief Black Code, having X amount, you will need to meet that requirement in order to be even considered to have a member represent you all as far as a nation. So again, we can kind of just see how this can also go into how, I guess you would say, the currency or resources will be divvied up as well. So of course, you have more people within that nation, they're going to be able to say, hey, we need more resources to, of course, accommodate for all of these different this extra amount of people that we're recognizing as our tribesmen. Number 3, after the said census shall have been taken and completed, the superintendent of Indian Affairs shall publish and declare to each tribe the number of members of the said council to which they shall be entitled under the provisions of this article, and the persons so to represent the said tribe shall meet at such time and place as he shall designate, but thereafter the time and place of the sessions of the General Assembly shall be determined by itself. So here, I'll stop here at this point.
I'll just add, like, every time we read, I'll always just try to create the story. And as we keep getting deeper, we're seeing, like you always say, Chief Biko, all these people coming into these new tribes, the freedmen, the Negro, the Indian, the African, now the adopted. We're seeing, and now they have to do the census on all these people under the Chickasaw Choctaw tribe now. So now we're seeing people west of the Mississippi, how we're having like this confusion of who we are, because through their bloodline, yeah, it's chaos. But just seeing the story unravel, we're seeing this military have these people on these plantation or whatever, you're just holding them there. So you got the people that were inventors, you got the people that were running the towns, and then now you have these freedmen, Europeans, and now they're trying to count for them, and now they're giving certain chiefs or chiefettes, the authority to, still be who they are, but ultimately you're still under the United States government. You're just now playing a role that you kind of always play, but now you have somebody above you. And it just always makes me think, like, this boogeyman must be very scary, because today we still see a lot of just celebrities or politicians, people just that don't speak out. So it's kind of like, are you prisoners of war? Yeah, have to be. Because what are you afraid of?
Correct. If you weren't, then who is this enemy, or who is this
who's the enemy?
Yeah, who is this enemy that you're afraid to speak out against, especially in regards to if you're like you said, if you're an elected official, especially because you're already getting paid. So it's like, okay, well, I'm getting my pockets filled with this fiat, but I know I can't say anything because they'll cut off my water, basically.
Right.
You definitely mentioned something that really stood out to me. Like you said, bringing in all these different groups of people, especially in this western part or west of the Mississippi, in this Indian territory, we can see how that Mongoloid feature, because I'm pretty sure it's other people, like, who is this adopted group? That's a new term. Like, who is this adopted? So again, that feature and these are our ancestors to the west are like not looking like us anymore, because they have now, again, come together, amalgamated with these different groups of races or different groups of people and ethnic groups. And so it's like, okay, they're even losing their identity, because you got Irish people, Italian people, as far as these freedmen or whoever they were, as far as these refugees mixing in, wanting to introduce their own, cultures and things of that nature. So it's like, okay, who are you now after X amount of years of that? So great point. Any thoughts on that, Chief Akibalon?
It shows you how everything that happens
It's a little difficult to hear.
My bad. Like I said, like the first parts of the class, I feel like everything that they're doing now is just the same thing that they were doing before. It's just to a modernized version of it, to where it's more subliminal, to where it doesn't seem like what it is. But all of this stuff is still the same. Like changing from people of person of color, from Blacks, African Americans, this, that, adopted, freedmen. There's just all this classification thing, and it's just like it erases people on the paper. And when you do that on the paper, you don't have to really care about it anymore because people don't think about who's not on paper. You don't think about someone who's a thief if they never got caught for it. So I just look at it in that sense. Like it's just crazy how they erase whole nations with just the pen and manipulation.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point. Again, just kind of erasing our people through the pen. Again, census is a big thing, especially now. A lot of people, when they're tracing back their lineages or their lineage, they're going to the census. So if you're seeing like, okay, hold on, why is my great grandfather listed as white or listed as something that you never even thought about? Because again, like you said, these are just classifications. These are statuses of groups of people. So it's like a melting pot of confusion that we can see is already taking place through this treaty here.
Right. And
there
I
are
like
no
that.
like censuses. I don't know if that's how you say it oral, but if there was not a census, a lot of these classifications, races, ethnicities wouldn't have changed history. I feel like a lot of the things that happen is strictly because of the pen and the story that has been able to be written. Because if we were just going off of facts, it's obvious that everything that we are saying is contrary to what we learned in school. We've been programmed to learn like in elementary school, middle school, it's the complete opposite. So it's like without all of these stories and continuous like reminders, would this even work if there was no? That's how I feel. Like the story was making people believe in this. He's written.
Yeah, they're definitely again controlling that narrative.
And before I dip up out of here, I just want to say that I like that the words are current today. And we're reading an 1866 Indian treaty and they're using the word census. So that tells us even then they were collecting data because all census to me means data. And everything else for today is all based off data. And Chief Q just said it. If there was no census, then there would be no classes or races because now you can't pick and choose who you're going to document as this or that. It's just back to the data, back to the census. I like that they use that word because it's important. They've been collecting data since forever. This isn't us.
Correct.
We're not conducting census.
We already knew who our people were and things of that nature.
So it's just crazy. Like today, census still happening today. People getting that mail,
fill them out themselves.
However, or the call. It was just crazy.
Great point. We'll try to finish off this here. Provided that no session in any 1 year shall exceed the term of 30 days, and provided that the special sessions may be called whenever, in the judgment of the Secretary of the Interior, the interests of said tribe shall require it. So basically, again, just establishing this new rule or new process in regards to when they are going to be assembling these different chiefs of these different nations to come together to decide or vote upon something. Let's go ahead and do here, and this should probably be the last one for today. The General Assembly shall have power to legislate upon all subjects and matters pertaining to the intercourse and relations of the Indian tribes and nations resident in the said territory, the arrest and extradition of criminals escaping from one tribe to another, the administration of justice between members of the several tribes of the said territory and the persons other than Indians and members of said tribes or nations, the construction of works of internal improvement, and the common defense and safety of the nations of said territory. I'll stop here because there's a period. So basically they're saying that the General Assembly should have the power to do all of these things. So basically any tribes member who is trying to escape to another tribe, they will have the legislative power to, I guess, rule on those matters. Any type of improvements in regards to the Indian territory that they preside upon. Also being able to basically hold their own court system in regards to hear justices between members of the several tribes and said territory. So they're just basically listing the powers of the General Assembly that they will have underneath this Indian Treaty of 1866. Let me see where I left off here. I should be able to finish. All laws enacted by said council shall take effect at the times therein provided, unless suspended by the Secretary of the Interior or the President of the United States. So all laws enacted by said council shall take effect at the times therein provided, unless suspended by the Secretary of Interior or the President of the United States. So anything that the council or this General Assembly rules upon can be voided out by either the Secretary of the Interior or the President of the United States. So again, just highlighting what they aren't their own nation that they have to answer to if somebody else can supersede them. And again, who are these people? It's the President of the United States and the Secretary of Interior. It's not going through Congress. It's not going through, the judicial branch. It's coming straight from the president, the executive branch. And the president is who? Executive order, which is what? He's the commander in chief, another form of military occupation.
Like wartime.
Correct. Wartime powers, or just enacting underneath, like you said, wartime powers. President being the commander in chief. This is obviously showing again military occupation of this Choctaw and Chickasaw nation.
It's honestly just irritating because literally everything that they say is just like they'll probably skip a section or whatever, but it's literally they say something and then they say why the thing that they gave you they can still take it away. So it makes no sense. Like none of this logic makes sense.
Yep.
And that's why I still believe that the natives had no idea what they were truly signing.
They couldn't have. Like you stated, they have no power if somebody can easily come in and say, nah, whatever the hell y'all had set up, nah, we not doing that. Whatever y'all ruled upon, we not doing that. Them freedmen that y'all just
oh yeah, y'all can keep y'all traditions and rituals, but you're not letting them mean you have power.
Correct. So how they may handle somebody within their criminal system as far as cutting off a limb or whatever it might have been, if the US government, or in this case, the president or Interior or Secretary of Interior says, you know what, we don't handle things that way. They have to go through a judicial process. And in particular, they have to go through our judicial process. So it's like, okay, you just said we can handle our things how we want it. Now you're contradicting again what you just stated in the earlier portions of Article 7, when you stated we can run our government how we see fit. So again, just understanding that serpent's tongue that these treaties or these documents are being written with, and understanding that they say something, but they mean the opposite of something else. And they usually are going to put it in writing like they did here. So great point out there. We'll finish off.
Same thing happens to this day in like the music industry when people sign 360 deals thinking that they're getting all of these things and end up with no masters or no control over their own music. It's the same thing that they did back when they were fighting with the natives. Bait and switch.
Correct. Bait and switch. And we're going to put it in a contract now. If you read it or not, that's on you. But it's in there. Exactly. So like you said, I'm pretty sure my ancestors or family to the west did not read these and definitely did not understand what they were reading. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and finish off this, and so we can finish off on the subsection 5 or stop there. No law shall be enacted inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States. So again, no law shall be enacted by the nation. It don't make sense. Again, as we continue to read this, people, you can easily see the contradictions. No state or no law shall be enacted inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States or the laws of Congress or existing treaty stipulations with the United States, nor shall said council legislate upon matters pertaining to the legislation, judicial, or other organization, laws, or customs of the several tribes, nations, except as herein provided for. People, military occupation. You can't do anything without our approval, and not only our approval, if it goes against our Constitution, which I thought they had their own separate government, If anything in your government goes against ours, it again just contradicts what they said earlier in Article 7. But it said anything that within this treaty or within this document that contradicts or does not go along with you all's legislation, then you don't have to do that. But again, they're saying that, hey, everything has to be in alignment with the US Constitution. So again, people just highlighting that, again, we're under military occupation and that.
You've been lied to and you're going to continue to be lied to until you can see the truth for yourself.
Correct. Why don't believe you can't contract with these people. Plain and simple. You cannot contract with these people because you will always get fucked over, and we're just reading that now. We're just reading that now. Any closing statements or anything like that, Chief Akibalan?
Honestly, what I was closing with, like, you can't do business with these people. You have to know what you're getting into when it comes to dealing with these people, because obviously they don't have your best interest. They're always going to say that they have your best interest, but in reality, they're going to give themselves the upper hand if anything hits the fan. So, and it's not that we're just saying this isn't opinion based, it's all facts written by them. So this isn't even our ideology. This is literally what we're reading, word from word, from what they said.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're not making up anything. We're not, summarizing anything or, interpreting anything any other way. It's
We're
really
just literally
plain and
reading.
simple. Exactly. Literally reading exactly what the document says. So if anybody says anything contrary, again, we don't have to argue when the document speaks for itself. You're under military occupation, people. It's as plain as day. It's as plain as day. Again, with any treaty, can't contract with these people. Can't contract with them. So let me see. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing there. And yeah, we'll pick up next week on, I think that was Article 8 too, subsection 5, because Article 8 has a decent amount of subsections. So we're gonna be on that one pretty much for a while here. But definitely a great build tonight.
So,
And we
man.
will see you all next week.
All right, everybody, have a good night.